Hi there, it's Rennkamel again, and welcome to, Planet Tower in a sense. And this is the project which I've started last year with the awesome Uthris, who's also this time on my channel. So hi there, how are you doing?
Hey Rudi, how's it going?
Yeah, it's fine. And
I'm doing well.
Yeah, good to hear, man. And as I was so happy to be on your channel last week, we are this time on my channel, and basically, I picked up your work, I have to say, astonishing work from last week. And I mean, it's not really surprising that you're the man for big, a little bit exaggerated projects. But I just saw it last week in your video, and I was already a little bit, excited to see how big you really started to make this foundation. But when I just grabbed the file and opened the park myself, I was just like shocked how big this foundation is. So you did a big work on this.
Well, I figured we would need a lot of room just because of how big flat rides are. So you can see the flat ride you placed in this park is still big enough to overhang the edge, like completely almost. So it's one of those things where it's actually a little surprising on how big things need to be for the game.
Yep, that's
to actually hold it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so much looking into it to figure out how big you can go. Every time I do this, I'm also just surprised how amazingly big you have to go. But yeah, I don't know how to put it in words, because like I freaked out a little bit how big this was, but just starting to build, I just figured is exactly the perfect size. So basically what you did is just made a perfect foundation for the entire project. So it's feeling really stable, it's feeling really great. And honestly, when I first thought of this project, I thought we could make, like, for example, one level each episode. But guys, honestly, forget about this idea. It's totally ridiculous. We won't ever be, maybe on the highest part of the tower. That might be maybe a possibility, but for the lower parts, I guess we will give this park and hand it over a few times until we are done with one level, because it's just so ridiculously big. But I think it's not that big of a problem, because it really looks astonishingly great, just in terms of size. I think it's really fitting. But maybe just to get in what I'm doing today is, this flat ride is basically the first kind of attraction in this park, but it's just there to kind of try around a little bit how we can make those flat rides work and be a part of the entire build. And so in the end, like at the end of this episode, we will have kind of like one quarter maybe of the lowest part of this foundation level, and we can kind of see how this kind of goes into hands with the other part of this build in general. So what I did is like build really big outer supports of the entire build, so that you can really get a feel of how strong you have to build to hold up all the structures, which will come on later. And also I did a little bit of terraforming, so that's basically what we're gonna see. And so those buttresses that you're doing right now are I just like the way you use the door to make the columns, and you just covered up the door asset. I was trying to figure out how to make columns. I generally just make my own custom ones, but now that I've seen you do that, I'm just like, oh, I can use that in so many places now. And I'm pretty excited to copy and steal that from you. This is basically the only reason I'm doing this collab, is to just steal all your knowledge. And yeah, same here, so we're fine. Basically that's what, but yeah, I mean, like, to be honest, this is also a big part of a collaboration, to see I mean, it's always, you see it in the video, but seeing it later on really in the park does help again a lot, to see how you do use the pieces. And I also tried to kind of go on with the style you introduced to this park, so I just didn't want to go completely into a new style on this level. So maybe we do see a few different styles on the other levels, but the lower part you really introduced this kind of style, and so I just wanted to go on with that. And apart from that,
and I think you're doing that really well, and you're really making it match, and you're adding elements that my style might necessarily have. So for example, you're introducing a lot of airy kind of these arches and these open supports, that the base foundation really is just this solid rock. and they contrast very well with each other, which I'm really happy that it was able to do that.
Yeah, honestly, I also try to kind of see how this goes hand in hand with the structure you made. So I also try to kind of take the same angle as you just introduced with your foundation, but on the other hand side, I also try to get it in a little bit slightly more tilt towards the middle of it, so that it would, like, from in terms of realism, would also be kind of a structure which holds up to it, because you just need to tilt it a tiny little bit more toward the actual structure to make it really hold up a little bit. So if there would be kind of an earthquake or so, that those are kind of helping to kind of keep this one in the same angle as it should be, you know. I don't know if that makes sense, but
right. And it's very much you know, flying buttresses and cathedrals. That's definitely what those do as well, and so you can definitely see that kind of inspiration. I don't know if you were looking at any reference images necessarily when you were making this, or were you just winging it?
Well, kind of. I just looked into a few, but then I just went a little bit like, yeah, YOLO, and tried myself out with those. I kind of had this idea in mind already, how they should look in the end, and this is basically, I think this might be also my way of working in general. So I kind of use pictures in the way that I use them just as a rough inspiration. So I'm not gonna copy from pictures or just like take parts of builds. I just like roll through them and watch a lot of them and just try to build my own picture in my mind, and then just try to build up on this kind of recognition I had. So that's basically the idea.
Yeah, and I think that's a really solid way to build, especially if you're able to take multiple inspiration sources and then combine them in an interesting way, which I'm sure is what you're doing as well.
Yep, definitely. Definitely.
It's now the path is definitely going to be a challenge to get out there, but if we can do it well enough, I think it'll be very beautiful. And I really like the shadows that it's already starting to cast on the lower level of the foundation itself. I think that's something that we want to try and capitalize on a little bit, and play with light and shadow. Yeah,
definitely.
In a sense.
Yeah. I think you introduced a fact which we might look into in a kind of future episode, because we both of us, we already had a talk of it. So this might be one of the biggest challenges later on, challenges to kind of remain the lighting. So remain like the option that you can have really sunlight into an area, because I mean, like for the foundation and the other part of it, it's kind of simple because you will definitely have the sunlight go on, but for the inner parts later on, and we will have some solid walls on the outer side, it might be a little bit of a challenge to get some sunlight in, and we kind of have some ideas how to get in with some solutions over there, but this will be a really tricky one to do. So I'm really happy to see how it already starts to be. Oh, by the way, I just see that we are now going in with one new thing of the update, because we are obviously playing in the new build of Planet Coaster, and I didn't want to go too much into it with new stuff, because I still don't know how those billboards do behave in terms of performance, so I kind of wanted to be a little bit more just look into it later on.
In my tests, they seem to work fine as static images. The moment you try and animate something, I really notice a little bit of a hit in performance.
Yeah.
So, but like in my park, I'm using it as some wall pieces, and it's behaving just fine.
Oh, that's good to know, because as you can see here, I made kind of this custom floor for the flat ride with a custom texture, which is a little bit more like the sandstone texture, which is a little bit different from the one we have in-game, and I kind of used this to create a new foundation texture for this flat ride, and I think it kind of worked out pretty well for this
yeah, no, I think it'll work out really well, and I also like the are you going to turn those nubs that are kind of sticking up around the flat ride into the fence, essentially, that's surrounding it as well?
Yeah, that's basic.
I guess I could watch and wait and see.
Yeah, it's definitely, I don't know if I even finished those up, because like I will fill it in with a little bit of foliage later on, and it should remain kind of this open space, because I want to do, like as you can see over here, a little bit of a border on the outer sides of the foundation of the flat ride. So because I always try to change the roundish foundation of the flat rides. So because like in real life you never see like this the flat ride as just the ride and like a completely parallel outer foundation. It's always like, you know, like a little bit of a space which you have where the flat ride is, but it is kind of integrated into the whole area. And this is what I wanted to do over here as well, just to implement this flat ride into the little overhanging balcony. Like it's a huge balcony, but this is where the flat ride sits on. So this is the basic idea about this.
Yeah, no, that's really a neat idea as well, and it still leaves that open area down below, which is definitely what we're shooting for. Oh, you're getting into terrain sculpting now.
Yes. It's just...
That's dangerous.
I know, because it's like, yeah, you can go on for always. But like, I also wanted to create this kind of rough feel to it, so that we just don't build up the tower in an area where just flat terrain is, so that the tower is, you know, that you can kind of see how big the dimension is really. And for that reason I try to bring in a comparison, and I thought it might be a good idea to bring in kind of a mountain in a way, and so you can see later on in comparison to the actual terrain how big this tower is.
Yeah, no, and it also helps ground the structure as well, just make it like I wish I could have like had time to go in and add some terrain, just because it's such an integral part with how a building looks, especially with how it plays off the terrain. So like for example, you want to build something generally to fit the terrain that it was designed to go into. That's in my opinion the best way to go into a building. But for me on this one, I wanted to get the circle built first, just so that I knew how big it was.
Yes, definitely can understand. Yeah, I definitely can understand that. Yeah.
So I'm really glad that you're handling some of the terrain, especially this early on, because that's going to give us a sense of how to, one, go around the rest of the structure, because as you said, this is only about a quarter around the structure itself, and it's just going to pay off in the long run and save us time, definitely. I think.
Yeah. By the way, I just got fooled by your prefab wall over there. I should have known, but I just made this little wall over here. But what I didn't know is that this wall is actually a tiny little bit tilt. What I should have known, because you made this to have this little staircase over there, and I just didn't notice. So you will see now, as I just figure out that this one is tilt. I'm going to rebuild this completely from scratch again. So, yeah.
Yeah. You would have to find like one. There's ones that aren't tilt, like the ones that are the rest of the way. You just happen to, by happenstance, grab the final one that
was tilted.
That isn't tilted at that side angle awkwardly.
Yeah, but it kind of works perfectly if you want to make this little circled tilt. Stair or whatever, the little incline you have, this works just perfect. But in a way, I just was fooled for a moment. But in the end, it was even better to kind of create a new one, because we might now have kind of a solid, really big archway, which has also a little bit of a big wall on it. And as you can see later on, I think in a few seconds, I found a new usage for I found a new usage for the billboards, as you can see in a few moments.
Okay. I know as well, like even though like you had to scrap that previous wall, sometimes that also works out for the best, like you were saying, just because you kind of already built it once, and so the second time you kind of are more comfortable, and so you can kind of just go straight into it and just start going full detail. And for me, whenever I have to like scratch a project or by accident I messed it up, and the second take is generally better. I don't know if you have the same experience as well.
I might just tell a little bit of a story. I don't know if you know about this, but I once built this Optimus Prime, and it was in Alpha 2, and I kind of messed up. By the way, I think now you can see what I did with the billboards.
Yeah, this is the billboards.
Oh, yeah, and this is basically, I think this is also a little bit of a game changer for like these huge huge parts of walls, because I just used the backside of the billboards, which you can color in one flat color, to make this kind of huge wall and not to use too many pieces. So I think that will help in the end to.
I mean, are they even bigger than the art shapes?
Yeah, they're definitely bigger. They're like 4 times bigger, I guess. The biggest art shape should be 8 by 8, and the biggest billboard is 32 by 32. So. This is kind of really huge. But just back to the little story, as I said, I once built this Optimus Prime, and then I started to build a dueling coaster around it, and it was an Alpha 2, where we couldn't save like blueprints or so, and I, for some reason, had this strange problem with the Steam workshop, and it kind of synced my game, but had overwritten my park, so it was completely gone. And then my second approach was like a million times better than the first one. Although I must say that I had a little bit of a break in between because I was kind of pissed off.
Yeah, no, that's also a side effect of having to start over. Yeah. You had to kind of come up with the will of, oh, do I really want to do that again? But it's definitely worth it to work through those type of feelings when you are working on things like this.
Yeah.
Like, you know, even losing my parking lot, I mean, that was a pretty devastating moment.
Oh yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Yeah.
and then the new parking lot's like so much better that I'm way happier with it. So it doesn't even matter anymore.
That's right, so but your CPU isn't that much more happy.
Oh no, the new computer I got after I lost the save, so this is the new computer, and it's perfectly content.
Ah, okay.
Taking a look at that park, I get 60 FPS, which is surprising.
That's really great. That's really great. But yeah, by the way, you can see now me struggling with the pathway right now, because I made these big arches now, and I kind of wanted to fill in now the whole area into these big wall pieces, so that it actually works together with this area, and I think in the end I managed to do this quite well, although I have to say you will have to do in the next episode a tiny little bit of path work as well, because I left the little incline which is coming from the current entrance of the park. This has to be reworked a little bit, because we will have some arches right in the middle of the pathway right now, just to give you this already as a little bit of a task.
Okay, that'll be hopefully easy enough. Whenever someone mentions it, like changing pathway or doing pathways in general Planet Coaster, I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, no, I guess the path is fine. I just think that we need to do a little bit of work on the arches itself, because they can also need some different sizes and different structures as well. So that will be fine, I guess.
Now, to me, it's interesting that you're doing so much greenery around it. I think that looks pretty cool, having that kind of climb up these large columns. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you know the Miyazaki films too well, but like Laputa, like the castle in the sky a little bit.
Oh, I don't know only the films, but actually while researching a little bit like this foliage stuff, I came across this. I saw a few pictures of those, and this is basically also a little bit of inspiration for it. But in general, I had this idea of having a lot of foliage on the sun side of the build. So because like if we go higher and stuff, we might also have some plants and greenery just to remain the level of air, you know, of how people can breathe, because this will be a huge tower, and you will have some just like air management, and this is also the idea behind this. But now we are already approaching the last part of my build. I kind of thought I would leave you alone then, in the end, with a little bit of a little seating area where people can sit around a little bit of a pond. And this is right over here, which I'm going to build right now, is a little bit of a pond, which also is a start, I guess, of the inner part of this tower of the bottom level, I guess. So I also try to do like a little bit of a custom fence over here, and then just the usual copy and paste thing to create this little pond.
No, that looks great, and we can even eventually maybe turn it into a waterfall that goes down to the lower area somehow.
Oh man, now we are talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But your path is in the way, so I'm going to basically have to scrap 100% of this and rework it. I hope you don't mind, but that's how this works.
Yeah, definitely, that's also how collaborations work. Just grab my path. I mean, I'm pretty used to get my coasters redone by Sylph, so you can also redo my path, so that's fine. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Sylph he could redo everyone's coaster.
Yes. Yeah, but it's kind of it's I mean, like, I'm totally fine with everything like this, because I think we all just learn from it, and everyone has kind of another view on the entire thing, so it's always cool to see how other people get in touch with you while building on the same thing. So that's pretty cool, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, there we are already at the end, just like the last seconds of the footage, and now I will blend in then afterwards. Maybe a real-time section, but I guess I'll go this time just with a few cinematic shots, and yeah, I hope you like what I did with your foundation so far.
No, I'm loving it. I have so many ideas, and I'm excited to get my hands on it.
Yeah, I'm also really excited to see what you do with it. So I can't even wait to get my fingers on it then again. So this one is now really taking a little bit of speed now, and I kind of love to see what we will do with it in the future. I think maybe to be really honest over here, it's already turning out to be even more great than I thought. So yeah, I'm really happy and looking so much forward to it. Yeah, you want to say anything else? Maybe just have you some ideas already? No, I think you don't want to spoil too much, right?
I don't want to spoil anything. I think just thanks for having me here, and excited
you're
for
welcome.
next week.
Cool. So guys, yeah, I just want to say thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this project, because I think that some of you haven't even noticed that this project is going on, so as we are on my channel this week. So make sure also to watch the first episode if you haven't already. And as always, yeah, just enjoy your day and see you then. Bye bye.